Today we're going to be going down just sailing, how to level it up, how to get started with it, all of that good stuff. So if you guys were wondering how to do that with the whole family shared life skilling, all the new updates and everything that has come out, and you guys haven't been sailing yet before, well, today is the day for you. To get started with sailing, you will need a boat. A boat can be obtained one of several different ways. And before we get started with it, we're gonna have to go down what is sailing. Sailing is taking a boat around and either bartering, sea monster hunting, transporting your trade goods, or just sightseeing around the islands. It doesn't matter what you're doing. Being on your boat and sailing it around is obviously sailing. The higher you're sailing, the more skills that you have for your ships, and the more mastery that you can get back. Now, when you're dealing with sailing, you have your sailing mastery, unlike certain other life skills. Your sailing mastery will increase your little stats for your bigger ships. This is excluding galleys and your cogs, your fishing boats, anything from the Averia frigate, the sailboat, on up to the Carrack, and the Pano too. Pano is included. If you guys are watching this after the trading boat is introduced into the game, I'm pretty sure the trading boat will be included into the big ship category, but it will increase your stats like your acceleration, speed, turn, and your braking. Now, something to keep in mind when you're out there sailing around is your naval fame. If your naval fame drops into the negative, you won't be able to use all of the wharfs except for Kuwait Island over there in the Pirates to restock and repair your boat. So try not to drop your sea fame attacking players, killing certain NPCs out there. Just like a normal criminal, you will be limited on a lot of your actions that you can be doing out there sailing around. Onto the boat. Like I was saying, in order to do sailing, you will need a boat, and they can be obtained several ways. The easiest way is to complete the Great Expedition, the first sailboat, into Aquala's Eye. Completing this storyline will give you the Bartering sailboat, which is the first boat that you can get. They can be upgraded into either the Averia frigate or the sailboat. Another way is to use any ship workshop. Right here, you can get the materials together to go and make your own Averia sailboat or the frigate. It will require you to do a daily for the plans or the blueprint to go ahead and craft it up. It's been made a lot easier to go and craft up your sailboats and everything using just the daily and getting the materials together, but it will require workers to be placed into the workshop to make parts and all that, and it will require the materials to obviously make up those ship parts. Another way is to go and use if you go in the managed currency, the Radiant Shakatu seals can be used to get either the Averia sailboat or the Averia frigate. Those are two ways to go ahead and do it, and any of the boats can be bought: the frigate, the sailboat, the fishing boat, the Medea rowboat, the Calafian rowboat, and the regular rowboat. The cog cannot be bought. It can only be crafted in any of the shipyards, or if you guys are wanting another way, loyalty can be used to buy your Averia cog. As you can see right here, 1,000 loyalty will buy it. It does come with the 140% speed. Your cog is going to be your little starter boat before having to deal with anything. It does give 140 speed if you guys don't have the durability. You can still use the little minor speed boost, but not the actual breezy sail skill, as you can see here. And then if you take off your shift, it just goes a normal little slow speed. Now, if you guys are going out and only fishing, doing your harpoon fishing, just wanting to go from point A to point B, the Averia cog is the best in slot boat for you before you start dealing with either bartering or the sea monster hunting. It's the fastest boat that you can get, like I said, before you get your Carrack, and it will not be able to do any type of bartering, but it will allow you to do your harpoon fishing, which is a plus. They cannot be repaired once your durability runs low. You cannot use the breezy sail on your cog, but you can still use the cog. You can still sail around with it, and if you hold down the shift, it will go a little bit faster, just it will not have that breezy sail. Now, getting on to the bigger ships like For example, our Caravel. If you guys are trying to shoot your cannons on just the stock Afaria sailboat and the stock Afaria frigate, you will have to get off the wheel to jump onto the cannon just to start shooting. The improved on up will be able to shoot your cannons without having to leave your boat, and you can still like navigate. Once you get your boat registry, you can go over to any wharf manager. He will have the option to register it. You can click here, your Bartering sailboat, if that's the route that you went. You can register it, give it a name. You can see the stats, durability, rations, weight, lifespan, all of that. If you chose the Afaria sailboat, the frigate, any of those, you can still see all of that. Just like with the cog cannot wear any gear like the bigger boats. Yeah, the bigger boats can use the gear, which will increase your stats like weight limit, rations, your speed, turning, acceleration, durability, so on and so forth. And they can wear the costumes, which will also further increase your weight limit, movement speed, durability, and your turning. Those can only be worn on your the Bartering sailboat, improved sailboat, and improved frigate, the Caravel, and lastly the Glass. The Carrack will need a different skin, which does come in 3 different types, which will have to be bought and can only be bought from the pearl shop, like the Balados plating, or Benilios, however the fuck you pronounce that. Now, as for sailors, the bigger boats like the frigate and the sailboat will require sailors. Sailors can be found in Velia, Port Afaria, and lastly over there in Ilia Island. They will have a title over their name or over the top of their head like innocent, adventurous, so on and so forth. The best in slot sailor is going to be your innocent goblins here. You will probably have to Google it to make sure. There's a whole list of sailors that can be found. They can be leveled up, trained up, and I'm pretty sure they can tier up to a captain or something, but it will increase the stats. They will show you if you're boarding them, disembarking them, the stats that will be decreased if you disembark them, the stats that will be increased if you board them, and they will take up a certain amount of cabin slots. For the goblins, they are 10, which your boats, the bigger your boat, the more cabin slots you will have, with the Caravel having 30 slots. It will cost 10 for my goblin. It will take up 10. Giants, like say this one, will take up 5. You get the idea. Your condition of the sailor will go down. You can easily recover the condition using foods like chowder or the raisin bread here that I can buy from any wharf manager. Just hit confirm, blah, 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 and the condition will be reapplied. Once the condition goes down, your sailor will get sick, which will require the elixir regeneration that can either be made and or bought off of the central market. Like demonstrated, you can buy your raisin bread. Sailor contracts can be bought from your wharf manager. These are what's required to go ahead and hire the sailor. Once you find the right sailor that you want, after sailors, we can talk about loading cargo. So for the sailboat, when you're doing bartering, you can load in your cargo onto your boat, like the land goods, your tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, so on and so forth. And you can unload it by hitting the same option. You can load it into your inventory. You can load it into whichever town the wharf is in. The storage will go ahead and let you load in the cargo. The rations here, rations can be restocked up by buying supplies. If you don't need anything, the cannonballs that your cannons can fire, so in order to go ahead and resupply, you can hit the buy supplies, which is a lot better than using food. Food will be able to be used to resupply your ships. If you're taking a look at, say, for example, your seafood crons meal, it has supplied rations on ship, 22,000. You can use meals to supply your boat when you're out there on the open ocean, but the easiest way is to go to a wharf and do it like that. The breezy crystal here is able to resupply those cannonballs like the food is able to resupply your sailors when you're out there in the ocean. Breezy crystals do the same. One can be obtained from either buying it here, or there is a daily that can be done out there in Aqua's Eye for a better blue grade breezy crystal, which will resupply more cannonballs. A little ship gear can be bought here, but I suggest going over to Afaria if you guys need to get any of your gear. But once you guys are ready to upgrade your boat, or if you guys are just heading straight to upgrading your boat, that can be found by hitting the upgrade ship option here. You can see it will require the materials and whichever of the ship part the Carrack needs, like say the blue grade Black Dragon figurehead. They will have to be made from the +10 green grade and then upgraded, then enhanced further all the way up to +10 in order to throw it in here to go ahead and upgrade. But once you have the materials, you can upgrade it like that. You can see the upgrade tree by hitting the option here. See here, the Bartering sailboat, then going to the sailboat, clicking on whichever one will load up the required materials. You can see here, check to see which parts you will need. Those can be bought. If you need to know where to buy them, it will say it down there in the tooltip too. It gives you the materials and the upgrade permit, which again can be bought from Philosophy over there in Portaferia. And looking at your tooltip will give you all of the information that you need. The upgrade information will show you the stats, or if in this case you are downgrading or looking at a downgraded ship, it will show you just how much stats your ship has over the downgrade. This will go all the way down to the Advanced, Balance, Valor, and the Volante. So take a look at whichever one you're going for and start adjusting accordingly. Start going in and getting those materials that you need. There are certain NPCs that you can go out and exchange some of your level 1 bartering goods once you guys start dealing with bartering into the Verdant Blackstones to upgrade your ship parts, to upgrade your ship. They can be found in certain select locations. Ilia Island, over here in Velia. Now, when it comes to the bigger boats, the higher your mastery, like I said, will increase your stats. So if you take a look at your ship here with all of your +10 green grade, the Caravel will have 115.3%. Now, jumping on the boat, it will apply all of your stats. So if it looks weird, don't worry. Or if it keeps fluctuating, it's probably because of your mastery. But go ahead and get on. You can see it'll add the +16 from my mastery, 131.3. That's how you go ahead and increase your speed on your ship. Now, if your ship has been damaged, you can apply ship repair material to it. You can find that either by sailing or chopping down plywood. For those who still want to get more back from their boats, can buy costumes from the Pearl Shop. Each one will increase the stats, with the Bartering sailboat all the way up to the Galleass and the Caravel having their own skins, which will cost 4,900 pearls over here on NA. The fishing boat has their own skins, and the rowboat, for those who did get the Carrack and still want to get more, you can buy Aquila Carrack Overlay. They come in the Advanced, Balance, Volante, and Valor. The skin can only be worn on whichever boat you choose. These will increase the stats and also provide a cool little effect when sailing. Again, these can only be worn on the respective boats, so if you get the Advanced, they cannot be worn on the Balance. None of these skins can be bought from the central market, so they will require actual real money. Now let's talk about the gear. Before you even head out there to start sailing, you got your boat, you're ready, you registered it. The gear that we're going to be talking about first is the Silver Embroidered. Silver Embroidered has the best experience that you can be getting for sailing around, which sailing around the islands doesn't provide a lot of experience, but it still does. Sailing around Margoria will provide more experience, so keep that in mind. Doing it on a cog, an auto-pathing little circle around Margoria in a cog will be a good way to level up your sailing with the Silver Embroidered, but it will provide the Mermaid's Wish 4, which will prevent a lot of those typhoons from happening out there in the ocean, which this can easily be avoided by just sailing around it. You know, simple. At +4, the Silver Embroidered will give you a +25% sailing experience bonus. +5 will give you, I think, +30 or 35. So the higher your tier on the Silver Embroidered, the more bonuses that you will get. Then you can start worrying about your mastery. I suggest once you get skilled to unlock your breezy sail skill for your bigger ships, then start worrying about your mastery. You can wear your Silver Embroidered while either trying to tap up your Logia, buying your Logia, like saving the money to buy your Logia, or just skipping from the Logia onto your Menace. But your Your Logia is your cheapest and easiest to get. It can be bought from Zarya over here in Velia, or can be bought from Camilla Logia over there in Logia Farm or Ranch, whatever it's called. It will give you Sailing Mastery plus 280, Sailing Experience plus 2, Movement Level plus 2. But we're mainly going for the Sailing Experience and the Mastery. The movement speed can easily be obtained elsewhere. Pen is a little bit higher to get. Your Try is going to be your best in slot, your first little step into your sailing life skill. If you're dealing with Mastery, then you can start moving on to investing into getting your Menace. Same rules apply for your accessories. Your Logia accessories, you want to get your Try, then you can either try to tap up to your Tet or just move on to the Menace, which I suggest skipping the Tet and the Pen Logia, your blue grade, and just investing into getting your Try Menace. Now, after you've messed around with your Logia, we can talk about the Sailing Log. Logia will increase your Sailing Experience plus 3 at base, plus 3 for your Sailing Mastery, plus 5 big ship speed, plus 5% auto ship speed for your big ships, big ship breezy sail speed, plus 5%, big ship auto breezy sail speed, plus 5%. Those can be obtained from Logia Camilla, Zarya over in Velia, or can be bought off the central market. I suggest getting your Try or just moving on to the Tet. Another option would be getting your Shulk. Your Shulk is your best in slot that you can still buy and tap up yourself. This can be bought from either Zarya over in Velia or can be bought from Shulk over there in Afaria. They have slightly better stats, but the best in slot is going to be your Manas. Now let's talk about our Manas gear now that we've played around with our Logia and we want more back. The starter gear is going to be your Try. I will tell you that with everything. Fun fact, if you guys need to learn any of the recipes needed to craft any of your Manas accessories, your Manas gear, anything Manas, you can find it in your crafting notes. But Try can also be replaced with your Flamoros. Your Flamoros can be obtained from turning in 300 byproducts for a quest over there at, I think it's Liana or Dalashian. And also getting your season pass tokens, 100 will allow you to go ahead and exchange it for your one-time Flamoros accessory. The Flamoros accessories can be exchanged for any of the other accessories at a moment's notice. Just go to Dalashian with the accessory and the materials in your inventory, and you can hit the option to exchange it, or there might be a quest to go ahead and exchange it. But you can change them out. They are equivalent to a Try Manas, but they cannot be enhanced. They can only be repaired. I don't know why they would be needing to be repaired, but they can be repaired. Now for your Manas, like I said, your Try Manas is your best in slot, followed by the Tet. Your Tet is going to be the last tier that you're probably going to be going for before having to sacrifice for the like pen, or put a pre-order in and maybe wait around a year to get a pen Menace. But your Tet is the best in slot, the only one that you'll be investing into. I personally think pen is a meme. But it comes with your plus 5 life experience for wearing 2 accessories, and each accessory comes with plus 10% life experience with a plus 90 life skill mastery. Your Try Manas and your Tet Manas clothes, they obviously will give you plus 6 sailing experience, your plus 300 mastery at Tet, and your movement speed level 3. Your pen is going to be your best one that you can go for. They only cost 53 to 56 bill over here on NA. The Manos Sailing Log. Killing the Siren 3 times will award the Siren Song Aura. Combining that with the Supreme Hide, the Magical Shards, and the Manos Stone will make the Manos Sailing Log, or it can be bought off the central market. It's going to be your best in slot. It's just, you will have to, if you're trying to manually make it, you will have to do a whole entire like boss fight. And there is a cooldown on the Siren. I think it's like, what, every hour for every little server. So pay attention to the chat. People normally like to mention if they've murdered it in that server. So if they did, you can switch off. If no one has mentioned it, it is a gamble to sail around trying to find it, because who knows, it might not be there, or it might have spawned right after you left that area, and you will probably not know until someone calls out that they just murdered it. It's a little bit harder hard to get, and I suggest putting a pre-order in and buying it, but if you guys are trying to do it that way, it's a whole boss fight. Just keep that in mind. Now, after all of that, let's talk about our Carrack Journal of Nature, which will give us plus 10 life experience, which can be obtained by doing the Carrack Adventure Journal all the way up to book 4. Then Allison will give you a whole quest line to do. Once you complete that quest line, it will give you the choice between your 3 books for the combat experience, your contribution experience, and lastly, our Journal of Nature, which gives us our life experience. All of the links or anything needed for sailing will also be down in the description below if you guys still need any extra help. Let's talk about our artifacts that we can go for. The artifacts that we can go for, they can be found either by the sea monster hunting or sea monster hunting, unfortunately. You have a small chance of getting it, but it will give you plus 5% sailing experience when out there. You can use your generic life experience or your life skill mastery, but the sailing experience and your sailing mastery are the better best in slot ones that you can go for. If you're trying to power level your sailing, I'd go for the experience. If you're trying to go for the stats to sail faster, turn better, do more braking, I'd go for the sailing mastery. Now, as for the lightstone combinations that we can choose, for the combinations, you can go for leveling or you can go for the sea monster hunting. For those looking to do only sea monster hunting, you're not worried about the experience or the mastery or anything like that, the choice and focus is the best lightstone combination for your sea monster hunting. It comes with all AP minus 150, which when you're out there on your boat, you're not worried about AP. AP does not apply onto the cannons for your boat, but what does apply is the plus 30% item drop rate from the sea monsters. Movement speed plus 2, which, like I said, there were other ways that you can get the movement speed, which this is an example of one of those ways. To make this will require 1 fire lightstone rush, 1 wind lightstone feather, and 2 wind lightstone fortunes. Now moving on to the experience that we can get, the lightstone combinations that are dealing with experience, starting out with our very, very low one of Swaying Helmsman. This will give us plus 5 sailing experience. This will require 3 of the Floor Lightstone Uncharted. Moving down the list, we have Over the Horizon. This will give plus 8% sailing experience. This will require 4 of the Floor Lightstone Uncharted. Moving down to the better one, the last experience one we have is Chasing Sunset. Chasing Sunset gives plus 16 sailing experience. This will require 3 of the Floor Lightstone Uncharted and 1 Iridescent Lightstone. All of the lightstones can be found out there gathering, doing any type of life skilling. The iridescent lightstone can be found out there doing any Dark Rift bosses, mob grinding out in the Mountain of Eternal Winter region, or all of these can be bought off the central market too, if you guys are wondering. Let's move on to mastery, with our first one being Sailor's Muscle. Sailing Muscle will give sailing mastery plus 8 and will require 3 of the Floor Lightstone Blue. Rusty Anchor. Rusty Anchor will increase our sailing mastery plus 15 and will require all 4 Floor Lightstone Blue. Moving on to the best in slot for the mastery and just the mastery alone, we have the Great Tide. The Great Tide will increase our sailing mastery plus 30 and will require 3 of the Floor Lightstone Blue and 1 Iridescent Lightstone. Then we can go down to the Lightstone combination that I personally like to go for. This is going to be technically the best in slot if you're not solely going for just your experience or just the mastery. This has best of both worlds. This is going to be Ocean's Embrace. Ocean's Embrace comes with Mermaid's Wish 3, sailing experience plus 10, bartering experience plus 10, and sailing mastery plus 45. This, like I said, has sailing experience, bartering experience as a plus, the Mermaid's Wish if you guys are still terrified of those little typhoons out there, and a plus 40 for sailing mastery, meaning like I said, it's your best in slot if you're not solely focused on one or the other. This will require 1 Floor Lightstone Uncharted, 1 Floor Lightstone Haggler, 1 Floor Lightstone Blue, and lastly the Iridescent Lightstone. Now, if you guys are trying to power level your sailing, you want more experience, you're not really worried about the mastery, mastery, we can always go down and talk about the choice and focus sailing. This will reduce your sailing mastery by 500. It will increase your sailing experience plus 35%. It's great if you guys are trying to power level, bad if you guys are solely focused on the mastery for all of the sailing stats, but this will require 2 of the Floral Lightstones Uncharted, 1 Wind Lightstone Mind, and the Iridescent Lightstone. Now we could talk about the Alchemy Stones. The first stone that you guys will be most likely going for is going to be the Treant's Tear. The Treant's Tear can easily be obtained by completing a Fall Gears quest line. This will give us plus 30% on our life experience. Great for when you're out there trying to power level your sailing. The next stone that we can take a look at is going to be our Khan's Heart. Our Khan's Heart will give us plus 25 life mastery passively, so you can pop your Treant's Tear, then switch off to the Khan's Heart and just wear it around while you're sailing. And a notable mention is going to be the Stella Stone with the plus 100 mastery that it gives you, but that stone can only be obtained while certain events are active, making it a kind of a rare stone to get. But if you guys have it, be sure to pop it, then switch off to the Khan's Heart. If you guys are needing to repair the Khan's Heart or the Treant's Tear, that can be done by hitting the recharge stone, putting whatever stone in. It will require any type of blood, oil, reagent, whichever the stone is. For us, it will be the easiest to do the Mystical Spirit Powder. This can be obtained by grinding down any of the blue or green grade spirit stones that can be found out there mob grinding or from the alchemy byproducts. Not the sturdy Alchemy Stone of Life. Those won't be used for the Mystical Spirit Powder, or the Layla's petals that you can find out there gathering can also be used for the Mystical Spirit Powder. Moving on to the Fairy. The Fairy has the Continuous Care skill, which will allow us to select between, depending on your tier, depends on how many items you can select, but it will allow your Fairy to select up to a certain amount of items to use as your buffs. Mine is tier 3. It will give me 12. It will automatically use all 12 of these while I'm out there sailing. You can easily select, unselect. You can sort it by different presets, so if you guys are out there doing gathering, sailing, or training, you can sort it by that, or if you're doing your mob grinding, you can sort it by that too. You can also reset it by hitting the reset. You can confirm all of your choices made, or just close it here. This can be automatically selected by either hitting this, or you can manually hit it by right-clicking over here. The next skill to take a look at would probably be sailing. I don't think the Fairy has anything else that we can really like benefit from with sailing, huh? In order to change your skill, it will require Thea's Orbs. Thea's Orbs are a Pearl Shop only item, and depending on the tier of your Fairy, depends on how many are needed. At Radiant, it will require 5 of the Thea's Orbs. They are given out rarely during events, so keep an eye out for that. But like I said, very rarely. I've only been able to collect 3 in the last year. For our pets, obviously, the first choice is going to be our life skilling pet that gives us our plus 1% at tier 1 and plus 5% at tier 5. If they get lucky enough, they will be able to have our sailing skill that will give us plus 5%, which that's fine. These can be obtained from the Pearl Shop, the Central Market, or can be obtained from 5 different one-time only family quests that can be found in the quest log. If you open it up here, the Pets Loyal Companions quest here will give you 5 different pets. The item drop rate, if you guys are out there trying to do your sea monster hunting, these will give plus 1% at tier 1 all the way up to plus 4 at tier 4. That's great for trying to go for those extra drops when out there going for the sea monster hunting. If you guys want more durability for the ship parts and shit like that, the durability reduction resistant pets are great for that, adding plus 1% at tier 1 all the way up to plus 4% at tier 4. And lastly, we have a couple other ones that I want to mention. The Boston Jack. The Boston Jack comes with big ship inventory weight limit increase per tier, which is great if you guys still need more weight on your caravel, sailboat, your bartering line. It helps out for that. It's a little pay to win. It's a little over the top. I mean, for the plus 200 weight limit, I just don't feel like the money is worth going out and buying a couple of those to tier up, but that is an option for you guys if you guys are wanting it. Another one is going to be the JoJo bird. Boston Jack and JoJo can only be bought from the Pearl Shop. The JoJo bird will increase the distance that it will pick up the item. So if you guys are trying to do your sea monster hunting and you're tired of sailing over your monster because your pets are not actually able to loot it, pulling out one of the JoJo birds will increase that limit, so that distance. So it comes with your plus 1% life experience. If you get lucky enough, you can get your sailing or bartering. I'm not sure if the bartering doesn't have a skill on it, but you could get your sailing, increase just the reach of trying to get those items dropped by those sea monsters. Crystal presets, there's only two options here. You can either do mastery or you can do experience. The forest crystal can be obtained from the Land of the Morning Light, either by fishing or doing the easier sniper hunting. Workers can be set up over in Dokubi Forest to passively get it throughout the week, and they can be crafted into either the life or the vital crystal. Doing the dailies over there in the Land of the Morning Light, you can use the sand coins to exchange for the forest crystal too if you're not getting lucky. The experience preset is going to be the best preset if you guys are trying to power level your sailing. The mastery preset is the best one to go for if you guys are trying to get more stats back from your sailing. Now, our sailing clothes, we have one option being the professional sailor clothes that can be bought from the luxury vendor or can be awarded for obtaining artisan sailing. Applying a equipment tailoring coupon that can be bought from the Pearl Shop or from the central market will apply into the costume, which can be worn for the plus 10 sailing experience, plus 1 luck, and it will give you a little minor mermaid's wish 1. But that's the only costume that we have. There's no other ones. Let's talk about the buffs, starting out with our pay to win value pack, which will increase our storage slot for maybe bartering if you guys are wanting to go that route. It will give us life experience plus 30%. No distance investment if you guys are trying to connect your nodes to do any of the ship workshops over in, say, like Ilia Island. Our max weight limit, if that's an issue for you guys, which I don't know why it would be. And it will give us a barter refresh plus 50 points, and required parlay for bartering minus 10% allows you to remotely check or skip your special bartering too. So that is one of the things that is required for your sailing to get the most back. It will require pearls like all of the little packs up here, the blessing of Kamasov, which will allow the central warehouse capacity plus 4,000 volume limit, your transaction made volume limit, and your storage transport weight limit, meaning you'll be able to transport more of the materials from your inventory to your ship from your storage using your maids. Moving on, we have the Secret Book of the Old Moon. This will give us back plus 50% life experience and will allow us to use our Turning Gates Villa buff without having to go out there and actually apply our Villa buff. Also, it will increase our wharf slot plus 1 in all regions. These will only be able to be bought from the Pearl Shop. Sometimes you can snag one off the central market, which is very, very, very rare. I think you'd probably find Bigfoot beforehand, or can be bought one day in the loyalty shop. The food, we only have one option, being our seafood Kron's meal with our plus 10 life experience and our plus 2 movement speed. It gives you plus 100 weight limit if that's still a thing for you guys, if you are transporting your bartering goods, and or the plus 25 on the all life skill mastery. This will last 120 minutes, can be made from cooking or bought off the central market, given out during events, and when the Oasis vendor finally comes resurfaces, usually mostly every summertime. Next we have our Mercenary's Life, which we can obtain for logging in every day. The normal one will give us plus 50% life experience, but if you combine 3 of them, it will give you plus 150% for the same 60 minutes. They can't be bought off the central market and can only be obtained for logging in 1 time every day. Next, moving down the list is going to be our Secret Book of Flord and the Gia Van Grolen Support Scroll. Both of these together give 100 on our life skill mastery and plus 20% life skill experience. Now, getting the Secret Book of Florn can easily be done by completing any of Liana's weekly quests and buying the catalyst from either Liana or Ludwig. Once those are combined, it will create the Secret Book of Florn. As for the Gia Van Grolen Scroll, these can only be obtained from graduating on a seasoned character or given out during certain events. I suggest taking a look at your managed currency for any events that are ongoing, because they will give them out sometimes. Just they're again harder to come by, so if you get them, hold on to them and don't just waste it. Next is Alora's Warm Black Tea. This can be obtained from the Black Spirit Adventure, but this will give us plus 30% on our life experience, and if again you guys need the weight limit, it will increase it by 100. Our next item is going to be our event. Our extra life experience scroll plus 50% will give us obviously the plus 50% life experience. These can be obtained from doing the Black Spirit Adventure, or sometimes will be given out during certain events. This cannot be used with the next item on the list being the Sealed Book of Life. The Book of Life can be obtained from the Pearl Shop or given out during certain events, but this will increase our life experience the same, plus 50%, and will last for whatever day is included into the title. This one says 1 day, but it can be extended up to, I want to say like 30 days is the max that I've seen on one book. So keep your eye out for that. If you guys can get them, keep them and don't use them until you absolutely need to. But once they expire, they can only be trashed. The next item that we could take a look at is a GM's Blessing. 1, 2, and 3. This will be useful for, say, your sea monster hunting with the item drop rate plus 2.5%, and the sailing with life experience plus 10%. These are only given out when maintenance is extended, so they're a little harder to come by. Again, if you get them, keep them, hold them, don't use them. Next are the elixirs and the drafts, starting out with our very bare minimum, the Vidir draft. The Vidir draft will give us our plus 20% life experience, our plus 3 movement speed, and if you guys really needed the weight limit, it will increase your weight limit plus 200. These can be made with alchemy, given out during events, earned from the Black Spirit Adventure, and bought off the central market. Once combined with the magical elixir, which can be obtained from the Black Spirit Adventure and or certain events, will make the magical elixir, which will last 16 minutes. Next, we have our Perfume of Swiftness. This will increase our life experience plus 20% and give us plus 5 movement speed. It will only last 20 minutes. A little price here to either buy and or make with needing the blue whale hunting, but can be made using alchemy or bought off the central market. But let's get into the better ones to use, being the Celerity Draft and the Unbridled Celerity Draft. The starter one being the Celerity Draft will give us plus 20% on our sailing experience and plus 3 on our movement speed. This will last 180 minutes. This can be made combining 36 training elixir, 36 time, and 36 of the elixir of wings with 10 of the tears of the falling moon. This can also be obtained for your imperial delivery sometime during events, can be bought off the central market too. The next step up is going to be the Unbridled, which can be made by combining all of those training elixirs, the time, the wings, the tears of the fallen moon, and 1 rumbling earth shard, but this will give us the same sailing experience, the movement speed, but will extend it for 360 minutes. Fiery doesn't do anything for our sailing, it only deals with our mount, so our Unbridled Celerity Draft will be the better one to go for. Now, when it comes to sailing, you have several options. You can unfurl your sail, you can furl your sail, depending on the direction of the wind, depends on if you want your sail down. Obviously, if the wind is blowing towards you, you do not want to have that sail down because it'll slow you down. If the wind is blowing, say, against you, or with you, you want to pop down your sail. It will show you the direction that your wind is flowing by the direction that that icon down here is going. As you can see, the wind is going this way. So the lines are fading around that way with the arrow pointing in that direction. It will show you how fast the wind is blowing with the direction or with the number here. Your cannons can be found here with the amount of cannonballs, your wait time being 1, 2, and 3, and which direction of mouse button that you will have to hit to shoot whichever direction cannon. All right, next is the breezy sail skill. If you guys hit skilled 6 or skilled 1 on your sailing, you will unlock the ability to, just like with the cog, you can hit your shift button to unlock the ability to blow past everyone. Just like with the cog, see there, your breezy sail, and it'll increase your ship travel speed. And this is what I mean about the wind. If the wind is blowing against you, it will slow down your speed. You can tell your speed here, the speed of which you're sailing. If you're sailing slower, you will notice that the bar is pretty low, but if you furl your sail or unfurl your sail, you'll notice that that option, the bar will rise. Some areas in the ocean activating the current. If you guys can get any of the currents, it will glow your icons up here with blue and increase the ship speed by 50%. I mean, it's a huge increase. You notice when you're on the current, but they're so small and very hard to get on that if you guys don't ever get a current, don't be shocked. And if you guys didn't realize that you were on a current, again, don't be shocked. They're supposedly found around the deeper ocean. The way to check the level of ocean that you're in is moving your mouse over the mini map here. There's an icon that'll show you shallow water, deep water, the movement speed, how much is being affected. I mean, it'll also have other information like your desert sickness and the hypothermia over there in the Mountain of Eternal Winter region and how it can occur. But for this, we are mainly going with our shallow. Now we can start talking about the daily quests that can be obtained around the game. For all of our daily quests can be found from the sailing specialist here. I suggest taking all of them that you can and trying to complete them. They will give you more sailing experience. They will give you, in some instances, contribution, upgrade materials, tokens that can be exchanged for more upgrade materials to upgrade your boats going for the Carrack. Some of them will give you bartering, like over here, Ilia Island. It'll give you the crow coins to shop in the crow shop, but they can be found all around. It will require either your Afaria sailboat, your caravel, or the Carrack. You can do it in the Galleus line, but it is a little bit handicapped with less weight and less storage slots. Get started with your bartering. Hit the bartering information here. Once you open up your bartering information, you can see there's a whole new UI. In this UI, a special barter option is here. If you complete so many bartering, it will give you a certain little barter for a really good object at less cost than actually buying it or trying to make it yourself. So it is worth taking a look at the special barter when you proc it, but it will show the amount of parlay that you have. You do start out with 1 million, and every little barter attempt that you do, it will take away the overall amount, and it does regen every day at a certain time depending on whenever you logged in. The accumulated number of exchanges, how many barters you've done, is calculated here. The more bartering exchanges you do, the more bartering lines you do unlock. They have dropped it down, so you don't need to have so many unlocked before even the special bartering. And the ship materials that you can find, you can sort it by more than 1, more than 2, more than 3 available bartering attempts at a time. Your barters can be sorted by normal to your land good to your tier 1. So looking at this will be any of the objects that your workers can go out and gather. You can go out and gather, you can go out and make. If you're taking a look at the bag of muddy water, that can be bought off the central market. That can be manually gathered, or your workers can get it. Same with the cactus rind, the birch plank, wool, beer, and copper ingot. But these will always be a craftable, gatherable item from the land, being bartered over to a level 1 bartering good. And that's how you'd go ahead and get started with your bartering. This will go same for tier 1 to tier 2, tier 2 to tier 3, tier 4 to tier 5, tier 5 to the crow coins. This is where you can start earning the crow coins to start buying things from the crow shop. The crow coin vendor can be found out here in Aquala's Eye. If you guys are trying to buy any of the upgrade materials or anything of the such, it can all be found here. Will require, like I said, your coins, which can be found while out there bartering. Sometimes you can find them for killing transport boats. They're the orange boats, the little tiny boats that'll be sailing around sometimes. And I'm pretty sure still in the crow's nest. The storyline will take you over there to the crow's nest. Your barter refresh does have a limit on how many times you can do it. As you can see, the points used is going to be here, with 20 being used for your item, your trade item barter refresh. And if you want the instant refresh, it will take 50 points. I'm not sure why it says 50 there, but it says it will consume 30 points here. So just look around and make sure you guys have the points needed, but they will refresh daily. Your parlay can be refreshed by using manufacturing on an item collection increase scroll. It will recover 2,500 parlay for the Crow's trade voucher. Ilia Island is what I consider your bartering capital. It's going to be where you put most of your bartering goods. It's where you will be sailing to and from for most of your bartering. And as you can see, all we're going to do is just anchor up. Whenever you anchor, I suggest exploring. It will take some of your rations, but you always have a chance of getting a bonus quest, aqua flowers, your durability increasing, decreasing, your rations increasing, decreasing. But there's always a random chance of getting things that could possibly help you out, like, say, even a bonus quest for the bartering artifacts or the sailing artifacts. I haven't gotten one yet, but I hear that's a thing. Turn in the quest, so we don't have that. The quest lines are timed, so keep that in mind. I'm just showing you guys, like, this is going to be the hub for your bartering. There's normally quests here that can be done daily. We're going to take the delivery to Aquala's Eye to show you guys where to go. I suggest seeing if you can do the Hakoven line. If your Hakoven line is, say, 500 crow coins or anywhere near 500 crow coins, go ahead and set out a path. Try to do all of the bartering that you can. If you guys are just starting out, your land good to tier 1 is going to be the easiest way to get through those dailies. Now, if you guys are getting started with your sea monster hunting, the main hub is going to be in Aquala's Eye. If you guys are looking for Aquala's Eye can be found over here. The storyline will take you out over there if you guys are on the Great Expedition. If you guys are getting started with your sea monster hunting has been made easier with your lesser sea monsters spawning out over here for the starter little goods that you can get, like your verdant black stones, the sea monster ooze, just your very, very standard bare minimum sea creatures that you can go kill. Same applies for over here. As you can see, the young sea monsters, that's going to be your next step up. These will give you the materials to start upgrading your frigate into improve. You have a chance of spawning the ghost ships out over here, and also over here, as you can see, the Sea of Silence has its own little habitat, and that brings us up to the habitats. Habitats are represented by their icon here. If you're trying to go for, say, certain sea monsters, you just take a look at whichever icon it is. Young sea monster here. The different ones will have the different titles. As you can see, this one is different with the 9 Shark Canadium and the Black Rust, which have been added to make it a lot easier to go and do all of your Saily dailies. And it made it easier for your sea monster hunting. So if you guys are steadily just stocking up any of the materials to upgrade your ship, heading out to Aquala's Eye is the best place to go. You're better off going with your galleass or the frigate line, just the whole frigate line, because of how many cannons are on the galleass. But the quest that can be done out here is going to be these ones right here. They will give you your sailing experience, your contribution, an aqua coin, and a different little upgrade material to go and start trying to get your Carrack. Monster Report is the new quest that we have to go, I want to say, kill 20 of the young sea monsters. Yep, 20 of the new young sea monsters that came out. The young monsters here, if you guys don't have a Carrack already, going for any of these will be a little bit harder, so I suggest going for the young ones to help speed it up. It will give you your 10 Moonscale plywood, 3 of the Moonvein flax fabric, and 1 of the Tear of the Ocean for upgrading, not to mention 3 of the Aquila coins for later upgrades. There are weekly here that can be done. I don't suggest doing it, but I mean, if you want to, you can, if you have the firepower and you think you're able to. These dailies are really, really, really easy to do with how close the sea monsters are relatively to Aquila's Eye. The best bet is to start out over here and then work your way out towards this way so you can just wrap it up and come straight back down. Yeah, the adult ones are only good for the crow coins, the blue and yellow black stones for the upgrade. And there, that's one quest done. Real easy, quick to do. That's why I suggest don't do it in anything other than the Galleus on up. Obviously, if you guys only have the improved frigate, yeah, you're gonna have to do that. But the higher your frigate line, the more damage that can be done. The higher grade parts that you have on it, the more damage that can be done, the more you'll survive, the faster you'll sail. Now, in order to do a lot of these quests or just sail around in Margoria, it is advised to have your blue grade and or your yellow grade compass, so they can be obtained from doing your bartering daily out there in Ilia Island. There's a daily that can be done out there in Sand Bazaar, and lastly, they can be obtained from mob grinding out there in Pilaku or Sulfur, I want to say, bought off the central market, obtained through certain events, and the last yellow grade can be only obtained from the treasure item, Ackman and Hystria. There you go. But in order to tell where you are, to see through the fog, you will need any of your blue grade and or yellow grade compass. When you have your compass, you are able to auto path around. When you're out here doing your sea monster hunting, you have the ability to get your rare drops, your little upgrade materials, things like that that you're going to need for going for the Carrack. If you guys are sailing, it is very advisable that you do your sea monster hunting and you do your bartering. Don't skimp out on them. Don't ignore one or the other. If you're going to do one, do both. It will save you a lot of time and headache in the long run, and don't be like me. A route that I personally like to do is start doing my bartering. I'll go all the way out to Ilia Island. From Ilia Island, I will go accept my Aquila Eye daily, go to Aquila's Eye, turn that in, and start doing the sea monster hunting dailies. Once I get the sea monster hunting dailies, I will sail all the way out to Ilia Island again, and I will start doing my bartering like that. I also like to go ahead and throw on the materials onto my caravel while I'm sailing out there to Aquila's Eye, so on my way back from my sea monster hunting, I can just turn around and start doing my bartering all the way back to Ilia Island to go ahead and continue on my sailing. And that's one way to incorporate your daily sailing quests available around the sailing hubs, which will be Velia, Ilia Island, and Aquila's Eye. There are quests out here over in Port Etheria if you guys like to start over there, but those are a little bit out of the way, only if you guys are heading out there to Margoria. The other way that I suggest doing your sailing, like I said earlier, is jumping on a cog and doing an auto path with all of your life scaling buffs on. You can do a small little path over here away from the monsters. It's not that hard to go ahead and set up a small little path to avoid any of the monsters, and you can simply just do that semi AFK, doesn't really matter. I've done it. The longest I have done an auto path sailing route was probably 4 hours while I was cooking dinner, but that's another option that you can do. Or if that's a little bit too extreme for you guys, you do have the option of setting up an auto path here in the islands too. If you guys need a refresher course on how to set up any type of auto pathing, if you hold down the control on the keyboard, I'm not sure what this will be on a controller, but holding down the control will show you all the options that you have, and we can go ahead and loop it like that. So adding on, but you have to hold down the Alt button while right clicking, and you can just simply hit set loop and it will loop it. So start from here, go all the way around until you get there, then go all the way back around. I prefer to actually have one actual loop, but that's an option that you guys have if you guys are too afraid to go and visit Megoria to do your auto pathing. And I know there's going to be a lot of things that I miss, so please do, guys, comment down below. Let me know if there's anything that I happen to miss with sailing. I never claim to be an expert on it or that I come out and sail every day. I just know the bare minimum to, you know, get you guys started. And this is no way, in any way, shape, or form, meant to try to show you guys the best places to do your sea monster hunting, how to get your Carrack in a day or anything like that. It's just to show you guys how to get started with your sailing, and you can go from there. You can decide whether or not you guys want to do the bartering, if you want to do the sea monster hunting, the fishing, the harpoon fishing, blah blah blah. If you guys enjoyed my little teaching lesson on how to go around sailing and leveling it up, do let me know down in the comments. If you know, leave a like, all that good shit. If you guys are watching over there on YouTube, be sure to subscribe, turn on all those notifications so you know when I go live again. With all of that out of the way, it was great having you all in here, everyone on Twitch, everyone over there on YouTube. You guys are great. Come back again and keep gathering out there, everyone.